to right field. This is deep, and this ball is gone. A home run for Yastrzemski.
Some people call him the greatest player in Boston Red Sox history. Others say he is the most talented athlete ever to fall short when it mattered most. Carl Yastrzemski won the Triple Crown, earned a Hall of Fame plaque, and played 23 seasons without ever once wearing another team's uniform. He also made the final out in two of the most devastating losses his franchise has ever suffered. So which version is true? The loyal legend or the man who could not close it out?
Drive to right field deep. Let's see. Here it is in there for a home run, and Yastrzemski in the ninth inning has tied it up.
Carl Yastrzemski was born on August 22nd, 1939, in Southampton, New York. His father, Carl Yastrzemski, had been talented enough to receive contract offers from the Brooklyn Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. He turned them both down. Instead, he built something else. He organized a semi-professional baseball team called the Bridgehampton White Eagles, made up almost entirely of family members. When young Carl was 7 years old, his first role in baseball was walking beside that team as their bat boy. He grew up bilingual in English and Polish. At tiny Bridgehampton High School, he set the all-time conference scoring record in basketball and batted .512 in baseball. Scouts from multiple teams came looking, including his childhood favorite, the New York Yankees. His father chose Boston. Not for the money, because Carl Yastrzemski believed Fenway Park was the right place for his son to become what he himself had never gotten to be. Carl later wrote on the very first page of his autobiography, "My dream was to make it to the majors, yes. It was a dream launched by my father, who had been reluctant to leave the potato fields of Long Island to try baseball during the Depression. He had groomed me to get out of the potato fields, and he had taught me well. A son carrying the weight of a dream his father never got to live. That is where this story begins." On September 28, 1960, Ted Williams stepped to the plate at Fenway Park for the very last time. He hit a home run. It sailed over the right field bullpen, landed in the bleachers, and Williams rounded the bases without tipping his cap, as was his custom. His quiet defiance of the crowd he had always loved and battled in equal measure. Then he walked into the tunnel and never played again. 6 months later, a 21-year-old kid from a potato farm appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The headline did not need to say much. Everyone already understood the situation. A writer named Walter Bingham put it plainly in that same April 1961 issue. It is inevitable that Yastrzemski will be compared to Williams. Where Williams wore number 9 for 2 decades, the Boston management has pointedly given Yastrzemski number 8. Number 8, 1 digit lower than a legend. That is what the pressure felt like, close enough to touch, impossible to equal. The rookie season that followed was, by Yastrzemski's own account, one of the hardest stretches of his life. He batted .266 overall, which was acceptable. But in the early months, he was hitting .220, and he knew it. He knew what people were thinking every time he stepped into the batter's box. He would admit later, "They were comparing me with the greatest hitter ever to play the game. It almost broke me. You start having doubts. Can I play in the big leagues?" The Red Sox made a call to Ted Williams, who at the time was off somewhere fishing. Williams flew back to Boston. For 3 days, he watched Yastrzemski take extra batting practice. He gave him one essential piece of advice: "Your swing is fine. Stop trying to be me. Go out and use what you already have." I think what dawned on me was that there can be a great swing that is not a home run swing at the same time, Yastrzemski reflected. I could never be a Ted Williams as far as hitting was concerned. He found his footing. A batting title followed. But 6 seasons in, the Red Sox had never finished higher than 6th place. The team was drifting. Yastrzemski, for all his talent, had not yet become the force that everyone believed he could be. Something had to change, and it would. The winter of 1966 to 1967, Carl Yastrzemski had made a decision. He found a trainer named Jean Burdey, a former coach of the Hungarian Olympic boxing team. Burdey was not a baseball man. What he knew was the human body, how to push it, reshape it, and rebuild it from the inside out. It was a boxer's workout, Yastrzemski described years later. I would jump rope, do some wrist curls, things like that. I did rope climbing. After the workout, I swung a weighted bat maybe a couple hundred times. I think I started to mature physically. Nobody in the Red Sox organization knew the full extent of what he was doing. He trained through the cold months with the quiet focus of a man settling a private debt. He also made a second promise: he was going to be a better teammate. He had been described, fairly, as coiled and difficult to reach. That was going to change. When spring training opened, former infielder Mike Andrews immediately noticed Carl, to that point, had not been a Triple Crown threat. He did not hit that many home runs. It was almost like the whole year, pitchers did not believe he was going to do it. The new manager, Dick Williams, stripped Yastrzemski of the informal captain's title on his very first day. Reporters rushed to Yaz, expecting a confrontation. He smiled and said, "I never wanted to be captain. I have my own problems." That answer told you everything. The transformation was complete before the season had even started. The greatest season of his career began not on opening day, not at the plate, but alone in a gymnasium in the middle of winter when no one was watching. Before the 1967 season began, the experts in Las Vegas gave the Boston Red Sox a 1 in 100 chance of winning the American League pennant. The previous year, the team had finished in 9th place, 9, in a 10-team league. This was not a sleeping giant. This was an organization that had simply stopped believing in itself. Then Carl Yastrzemski went to work. He led the American League with a batting average of 326, 44 home runs, and 121 runs batted in. Together, those numbers added up to the Triple Crown, a feat so rare that no hitter in either league had accomplished it since Mickey Mantle in 1956, and no one would accomplish it again for another 45 years. But the numbers alone do not tell the real story of 1967. The real story is what happened in September. With 4 teams still alive in the pennant race entering the final weeks of the season, Yastrzemski produced one of the most sustained stretches of pressure performance in the history of the sport. In the final 12 games alone, he hit at a rate of 523 with 5 home runs and 16 runs batted in. In his final 37 at-bats of the season, with the Red Sox's entire season riding on virtually every one of them, he recorded 20 hits for a batting average of 541. On the final day of the regular season, with the pennant still undecided, he went 4 for 4 with 2 runs batted in. The Red Sox clinched that afternoon. For the first time since 1946, 21 years, Boston was going to the World Series. The city went absolutely still for a moment, and then it erupted. The World Series that followed was a magnificent 7-game battle against the St. Louis Cardinals. Boston pushed it to the limit, but the Cardinals, led by pitcher Bob Gibson, took Game 7. It was painful. And yet, something permanent had shifted. The 1967 Red Sox had reminded an entire region what it meant to believe in something again. Yastrzemski was named the American League Most Valuable Player in a vote that was nearly unanimous. When asked later whether he valued the Triple Crown or the pennant more, he did not hesitate. "And if I have my choice between a pennant and a Triple Crown, I will take the pennant every time." That is the kind of answer that tells you who a person really is. Not the statistics, not the trophies, the fact that after the most individually dominant season anyone had seen in over a decade, his first thought was still about the team. Always the team. Have you ever watched an athlete perform at a level that made you feel like you were witnessing something that would not happen again in your lifetime? Leave your answer in the comments below. Because 1967 was exactly that. Baseball is not always fair. That is one of the first things you learn about it, and one of the last things you ever fully accept. Carl Yastrzemski would go on to help the Red Sox reach the World Series again in 1975, an October series widely remembered as one of the greatest ever played. He hit 310 across those 7 games against the Cincinnati Reds. But in Game 7, with Boston trailing by a single run, he hit a fly ball to center field. That fly ball was the final out of the series. 3 years later, in 1978, Boston and New York finished tied and met in a 1-game playoff. The game is remembered for a 3-run home run by light-hitting Yankees shortstop Bucky Dent. What is almost always forgotten is that Yastrzemski had opened the scoring with a home run off Ron Guidry, who had not allowed a single home run to a left-handed batter all year, not one, until Yaz. But the Red Sox lost. In the final at-bat, with the tying run on third base, the batter who came to the plate was Yastrzemski. He hit a foul pop-up to third base. For the second time in 4 years, he had been the last out. 23 seasons, 3 batting titles, 7 Gold Gloves, 18 All-Star appearances, 1 Triple Crown, 1 Most Valuable Player award, No championship ring. He never complained. He never left for a team with a better chance. He kept showing up. When they knock you down, he said, you not only have to get up, but you have to make it clear that you will not be knocked down a second time. The ring never came, but something more durable did. When Carl Yastrzemski announced his retirement after the 1983 season, he told the team's general manager just a few words, and that would be it. He had spent 23 years avoiding this kind of attention. What happened instead was something no one planned. A sellout crowd of 33,000 filled Fenway Park. When his name was announced, they rose and applauded for 6 full minutes. Yastrzemski stood on the field, and the tears came before he could stop them. The man who had never broken in public, who had stared down pennant races and heartbreaks without visible emotion, was undone completely by the sound of his own name being called with love. At the microphone, he said, I have been asked how I would like to be remembered. I hope you will think of me as a winner, because I feel just playing one game at Fenway Park makes me a winner. And I hope I represented Boston and New England with class and dignity. Then instead of walking off, he started running. From foul pole to foul pole, all along both baselines, he ran the entire perimeter of Fenway Park, reaching out to touch every hand that was reaching for his. Fans were shouting 3 words, "We love Yaz." Those were the words. That was why he wept. 6 years later, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame with 94.6% of the vote. In his induction speech, he honored his father, the potato farmer, who gave up his own dream so that his son could live one. He honored his mother, and he thanked Ted Williams. But the story did not end there. Carl's son Michael also played professionally, reaching the minor leagues before his career stalled. Then, in 2004, Michael died suddenly at the age of 43 from complications following surgery. He left behind a 16-year-old son named Mike. In 2019, that boy, Mike Yastrzemski, made his major league debut with the San Francisco Giants. In September of that year, the Giants came to Boston. For the first time since 1983, a Yastrzemski was playing at Fenway Park. Carl, then 80 years old, threw the ceremonial first pitch. His grandson caught it. They embraced on the infield while the crowd roared. I think the only way I can compare it, Carl said afterward, would be to the 1967 season. That is what it means to me. We began this story with a man running, one last lap around Fenway Park, tears on his face, while 33,000 people told him they loved him. Now you know why that moment looked the way it did. It was not just the farewell of a great athlete. It was the conclusion of a story that had started on a 70-acre potato farm with a father who folded his own dream away so that his son might live it. A story that nearly collapsed under the weight of replacing a legend. A story quietly rebuilt in the cold of a Massachusetts winter with a jump rope and a private promise. A story that did not end when number 8 walked off the field because the name kept going. A son, a grandson, a first pitch on the same grass where it all began. Carl Yastrzemski was once asked to describe himself near the end of his playing career. His answer was simple, and it has stayed with people ever since. I am just a potato farmer from Long Island who has some ability. I am not any different than a mechanic, an engineer, or the president of the bank. That is either remarkable humility or the truest thing a Hall of Famer has ever said. Perhaps both. He played 3,308 games. He never once played for another team. He left Boston the same way he arrived, quietly committed, asking for nothing extra, content to let the work speak. And at the end, the city spoke back. 33,000 voices, all saying the same 3 words. Greatness, it turns out, does not always come with a championship ring. Sometimes it looks like showing up for 23 years and never giving the city a reason to stop believing in you. If this story moved you, share it with someone who loves baseball or someone who needs a reminder of what dedication actually looks like. Drop a comment telling us which part of Yastrzemski's story surprised you most, and if you want more stories like this one, our next video is already waiting for you.